In the high-stakes world of 21st-century warfare, dominance in the skies can determine the outcome of an entire conflict, and at the center of that battle for aerial superiority lies one critical factor: stealth. For decades, the ability to remain undetected by enemy radar has given air forces a decisive edge. It's why the US developed the F-22 Raptor and the F-35 Lightning II, jets designed to operate undetected, striking targets without warning. In response, Russia unveiled its answer to Western air power, the Sukhoi SU-57, promoted as a fifth-generation stealth fighter. The Su-57 was meant to catapult Russia into the future of aerial combat. It boasts advanced avionics, powerful engines, supermaneuverability, and most importantly, a radar cross-section that, according to Russian state media, rivals that of the F-22. But how true are these claims? As footage of the Su-57 circulates and prototypes make appearances at air shows, questions have emerged from defense analysts and radar experts worldwide. Is the Su-57 truly invisible to modern radar systems? Can it penetrate NATO airspace without detection? Or is Russia's stealth narrative more propaganda than performance? To answer these questions, we need to dive into what stealth really means, not just in marketing, but in physics, materials, science, and radar technology. We'll compare the Su-57 to its Western counterparts, examine its design features, and assess real-world data where available, because in today's age of electronic warfare and multiband radar systems, claiming stealth is one thing, proving it is another. This is the story of the Su-57's stealth. The myths, the engineering, and the hard truth about whether this jet can truly vanish in plain sight, or whether it's been seen all along. The Su-57 NATO reporting name Felon represents Russia's bold leap into fifth-generation fighter technology, a category dominated for years by American platforms like the F-22 Raptor and F-35 Lightning II. Designed by Sukhoi, the Su-57 is built to serve multiple roles: air superiority, ground attack, and electronic warfare, all while maintaining a low radar signature. So what makes the Su-57 a stealth aircraft? Let's begin with its shape. Stealth starts with design, and the Su-57's angular frame, blended fuselage, and canted vertical stabilizers help reduce radar returns. The forward fuselage is shaped to scatter incoming radar waves, and the canopy is coated with radar-absorbing materials to reduce reflections. Internal weapons bays, a hallmark of stealth aircraft, are present to reduce radar cross-section by storing weapons inside rather than under the wings. The Su-57 avoids the radar reflections caused by external mounts. Then there's materials technology. The aircraft incorporates composite materials in up to 25% of its airframe. These materials not only reduce weight but also absorb and diffuse radar waves. The surface is treated with radar-absorbing paint, though independent verification of its effectiveness remains limited. The Su-57 also includes advanced avionics and sensor fusion, a critical requirement for fifth-generation classification. Its NO36 Bielka radar system features multiple arrays, including X-band and L-band radars, that not only aid in detection but are designed to operate with reduced electromagnetic signatures. But the aircraft's engines have drawn considerable attention and controversy. Early production models used the AL-41F1 engines, the same as the Su-35, which lacks stealth nozzle shaping. The exposed engine nozzles and infrared signature raise questions about the jet's rear aspect stealth. A next-generation engine, dubbed ISDEL-A30, is in development and promises improved thrust and reduced visibility, but as of now, it has not been fully deployed. On paper, the Su-57 checks many of the boxes for a stealth fighter. It's fast, capable of supercruise, and highly maneuverable thanks to thrust-vectoring nozzles and advanced flight control systems. It carries a wide array of modern air-to-air and air-to-ground weapons and is designed for networked warfare. But stealth isn't just about what's on the blueprint, it's about how well these features perform in practice. So far, the Su-57 has had a slow and limited production rollout. As of 2025, only a small number of aircraft have entered service, and there is limited combat data to evaluate its true performance against NATO detection systems. While Russian media has made bold claims, Western analysts remain skeptical, pointing to inconsistencies in design, production delays, and lack of verified stealth testing. So while the Su-57 looks stealthy and includes many of the right technologies, its actual radar cross-section, or RCS, is still a subject of debate. In the next segment, we'll look at how stealth is measured, how radar systems detect modern aircraft, and whether the Su-57 truly lives up to its stealth label. Stealth aircraft like the Su-57 are designed to reduce their visibility to radar, but not to become truly invisible. No aircraft can defy the laws of physics. Instead, stealth technology aims to delay detection, minimize engagement time, and break the kill chain. But NATO hasn't stood still. Over the past 2 decades, NATO radar systems have evolved dramatically. From legacy long-range air surveillance to modern multiband, multistatic radar networks, NATO's detection web is designed not just for visibility but survivability. Let's explore how this radar shield works, and why even stealth aircraft can be seen. At the heart of NATO's radar network is a diverse array of systems operating across multiple frequency bands. The most advanced stealth aircraft are optimized to evade X-band radar, the band used by most fire control and airborne radars because of its short wavelength and high resolution. But stealth coatings and shaping are far less effective against lower frequency radar, such as L-band or VHF, which use longer wavelengths that can interact with an aircraft's broader geometry, making it more visible. Systems like the NTPY-2, a high-resolution X-band radar used in the U.S. missile defense system and deployed in various NATO regions, are excellent at tracking ballistic missiles, but also capable of precision tracking on aerial targets. While stealth aircraft are designed to evade this band, the NTPY-2's sheer resolution and power can still pick up returns under certain conditions, especially if the aircraft's stealth profile is compromised by weapons mounts or unfavorable angles. Complementing that are L-band radars like those found on the SAM-T system, developed jointly by France and Italy. Although primarily a missile defense platform, its ground radar, the Arabelle or Kronos, can detect stealth aircraft at greater ranges than X-band systems. L-band's longer wavelength doesn't see fine details, but it can detect the presence of a stealth object, especially at medium to high altitudes where the background clutter is minimal. But NATO's true strength lies not in individual radars, but in integration. Modern NATO defense doctrine relies on multi-static radar networks, systems where multiple radars work together, each from different locations and angles. When a stealth aircraft is optimized to reflect radar away from one source, a second or third radar at a different angle can catch the reflected signal. This layered detection significantly reduces the survivability of stealth aircraft in contested environments. Another growing field is passive radar systems that don't emit signals, but instead listen for disruptions in civilian broadcasts like FM radio, TV towers, or cell signals. Since these systems don't radiate, stealth aircraft cannot detect or jam them. And because these signals are everywhere, especially over Europe, stealth fighters may unknowingly reveal their presence just by flying through populated airspace. NATO also utilizes airborne early warning and control systems AWACS like the E-3 Sentry, equipped with powerful rotating radar domes, while primarily using conventional radar bands. Their high-altitude vantage point allows for wide coverage and coordination between ground-based systems. And finally, space-based infrared systems, while not radar, play an increasingly important role. Stealth aircraft may avoid radar, but they still emit heat, especially during afterburner use or high-speed climbs. Satellites equipped with infrared sensors can spot and track even low RCS targets. So how effective is all this against aircraft like the Su-57? It depends. While the Su-57 may perform well against legacy radar systems or isolated defenses, NATO's integrated air defense architecture is another matter. Multiple overlapping radar types across air, land, sea, and even space can paint a more complete picture. A radar return that might be dismissed as noise by one system could be correlated and confirmed by another. This collaborative radar fusion makes stealth far more difficult and forces aircraft like the Su-57 to fly carefully and sparingly in contested airspace. NATO has adapted. Stealth has pushed the technology forward, but it hasn't made radar obsolete. Far from it. In the next section, we'll examine how the Su-57's radar cross-section compares with other fifth-generation fighters, and whether its design truly lives up to the low observability label. When people hear the word stealth, they often imagine invisibility aircraft that can fly undetected, immune to radar, immune to missiles, but the reality is very different. Stealth technology is not about making an aircraft invisible. It's about managing visibility, reducing detectability, delaying tracking, breaking lock, confusing targeting systems, and giving pilots more time to strike or escape. Let's break this down. Stealth aircraft achieve low observability primarily in three ways. 1. Shape and geometry. 2. Radar-absorbent materials, RAM, and 3. Careful management of heat and electronic emissions. The F-22 Raptor, for example, is a textbook example of radar-defeating design. Its angular surfaces, edge alignment, and internal weapons bays all contribute to a radar cross-section or RCS, roughly the size of a metal marble when viewed head. The F-35 takes a slightly different approach, optimizing for stealth in specific bands, while incorporating advanced sensors and electronic warfare to avoid detection, rather than purely absorbing radar waves. Now let's talk about the Su-57. While Russia claims it belongs in the same class as the F-22 and F-35, analysts suggest otherwise. Most estimates place the Su-57's RCS somewhere between 0.1 and 0.5 square meters, comparable to a small drone or bird. Still low, but not in the same league as its American counterparts. Why? Because of several factors. For one, the engine nozzles on the Su-57 are not fully shielded, circular, exposed, and lacking serrated or stealth-shaped features. They generate a significant radar and infrared signature, especially from the rear. In contrast, the F-22's flat nozzles are designed to deflect radar and reduce heat emission. Second, the airframe shaping of the Su-57, while clearly designed with stealth in mind, shows compromises. The aircraft includes traditional aerodynamic features that may boost performance and maneuverability, but hurt its stealth profile. For example, the Su-57 has L-shaped panel gaps, exposed sensors, and less edge alignment than Western stealth fighters. But even the most advanced stealth aircraft have limitations. Stealth is highly angle-dependent. From the front, where most radar threats are expected, stealth aircraft are extremely hard to see, but from the sides or above, their radar signature increases. Rear aspect stealth is often the weakest point, especially if afterburners are engaged, and stealth isn't permanent. Paint degrades, panels shift, maintenance issues can create tiny gaps or misalignments that increase radar visibility. During extended missions in harsh conditions, stealth can be compromised, especially if an aircraft has to carry external fuel tanks or weapons, which greatly increase radar return. Then there's the electromagnetic spectrum. Stealth fighters must emit signals, radar, data links, communications to fight and survive. These emissions can be tracked, especially by passive detection systems that don't rely on radar at all. In a networked battlespace, every emission is a risk. Infrared is another major vulnerability. All jets emit heat from engines, friction, and electronics. Modern infrared search and track IRST systems can detect stealth aircraft based on this heat signature alone. The Su-57 even has its own IRSTA tacit admission that stealth aircraft can still be tracked, just not by conventional means. So where does that leave us? Stealth gives a huge tactical edge, especially in the opening stages of a conflict. The ability to get close, strike first, and escape undetected can be decisive. But stealth is not a silver bullet. It does not make an aircraft untouchable, only harder to find and harder to kill. As radar systems evolve with multi-static arrays, lower frequency bands, artificial intelligence, and quantum radar on the horizon, the stealth advantage may continue to shrink. It becomes a race between those building ghosts in the sky and those learning how to see them. And in this race, the Su-57's place is complicated. It is not a true peer to the F-22 or F-35 in terms of stealth. It blends some stealth features with high maneuverability and raw power, perhaps reflecting Russia's emphasis on agility, range, and versatility over absolute stealth. In that sense, the Su-57 is a hybrid, not invisible, but harder to kill, a modern predator, not a ghost. Ultimately, stealth is just one part of a much larger puzzle, one that includes electronic warfare, cyber defense, space-based tracking, and human decision-making. A stealth aircraft may win the first engagement, but not necessarily the war. In our next segment, we'll break down real-world testing, known radar encounters, and what the data says about how invisible the Su-57 really is when it's flying into the teeth of a modern air defense network. The Su-57 was designed to be Russia's answer to Western air dominance, a stealth platform meant to operate deep into contested airspace. But in the years since its introduction, NATO has had opportunities, some planned, others unexpected, to observe, analyze, and even track the Su-57 in the real world, and the results have been telling. In 2018, the Su-57 made a surprise appearance over Syria. Only a small number of prototypes were deployed, reportedly for operational testing in live conditions. Russian media claimed they operated undetected, but within hours of their arrival, NATO aircraft and surveillance systems were already watching. According to open-source intelligence and multiple defense analysts, NATO radar and signals intelligence platforms in the region successfully tracked the Su-57 during its Syrian deployment. This included both ground-based radars and airborne platforms, such as the RC-135 Rivet Joint and E-3 Sentry, which routinely patrolled the eastern Mediterranean. So how were they able to do it? The answer lies in a combination of factors and stealth limitations we've already covered. First, the rear aspect signature of the Su-57 remains relatively high, even during non-combat operations. If the aircraft climbs, turns, or uses afterburners, its infrared and radar profile can spike dramatically, especially against multiband radar systems that are optimized to look for such anomalies. Second, in Syria, the Su-57 reportedly flew without full emission control, meaning onboard radar and communications systems were occasionally active. These emissions, even if encrypted, provided electronic fingerprints. NATO's passive detection systems, which don't emit signals themselves but listen for electromagnetic activity, were able to pick up on these signals. Anthered satellite tracking has become increasingly precise. High-resolution optical and infrared satellites, combined with real-time data from space-based infrared systems (SBIRS), offer another layer of detection, not reliant on radar at all. But NATO's experience with the Su-57 isn't limited to Syria. In recent years, with rising tensions in Eastern Europe and the Baltic region, NATO has kept a close eye on Russian air activity. Su-57 prototypes and production models have occasionally flown near NATO airspace, particularly around Kaliningrad, the Barents Sea, and the Black. In these instances, NATO air defenses, especially those in Poland, Romania, Norway, and the Baltic states, have employed multi-layered radar systems to monitor these aircraft. These include TPS-77, Giraffe A and B, and SMARTL radars, which operate across a range of frequencies. Even if the Su-57's front profile reduces radar returns, overlapping radar fields in non-expand systems still offer a degree of tracking, particularly when the aircraft maneuvers or breaks formation. And while Russia rarely sends the Su-57 close enough to provoke direct engagements, training exercises have offered additional insights. In 2021 and again in 2023, NATO simulated engagements involving stealth aircraft, including the Su-57 as a virtual opponent during exercises like Air Defender and Trident Juncture. Using threat simulation pods and radar emulators, NATO aircrews trained against the specific RCS profiles and flight characteristics believed to match the Su-57. These exercises revealed something critical. While stealth reduces initial detection range, it does not eliminate it. Once the aircraft is spotted, even briefly, modern fire control systems can create predictive tracks and maintain a targeting solution, especially when aided by AWACS satellite data and forward-deployed radar units. So what does all this mean for strategy? It means that stealth fighters like the Su-57 cannot rely on invisibility. They must operate under the assumption that detection is possible, even likely in modern, integrated air defense environments. For NATO, this reaffirms the need for multiband radar, sensor fusion, and distributed detection systems. The more angles covered, the less effective stealth becomes. For Russia, it means the Su-57 must be used strategically at specific altitudes, with limited emissions, and preferably under the protection of electronic warfare units or anti-access area denial A2AD umbrellas. Ultimately, NATO's experience shows that the Su, while a capable modern fighter, is not a ghost. It can be tracked, it can be seen, and it can be countered. The myth of undetectable stealth is just that, a myth. In the next segment, we'll look at what this means for future air combat doctrine and how stealth, speed, and sensors are shaping the next generation of aerial warfare. The ability of NATO's radar systems to track the Su-57, Russia's premier stealth fighter, carries significant implications for both defensive and offensive military strategy in the 21st century. Let's start with air defense. Stealth technology was originally developed to bypass traditional radar and strike high-value targets, air bases, radar installations, command centers before defenders could react. But as we've seen, stealth no longer guarantees surprise. NATO's multi-band networked radar architecture, combined with space-based surveillance and passive detection systems, has narrowed the window for stealth aircraft to operate undetected. This changes how NATO plans to protect its airspace, rather than relying on a single radar installation or missile battery. Modern doctrine focuses on layered defenses, combining long-range sensors, mobile air defense systems, airborne warning platforms, and even satellite intelligence into one unified detection and engagement system. This increases redundancy, reduces blind spots, and forces stealth platforms like the Su-57 to fly smarter or stay farther away. It also has strategic effects on force posture. Countries near Russian borders like Poland, the Baltics, and Norway are now investing more in distributed radar systems, electronic warfare units, and advanced SAMs like the Patriot and SAM-T. The goal is simple: detect early, track persistently, and engage before stealth aircraft can reach their target. But what about offensive strategy? For Russia, the Su-57 was never meant to operate alone. Its real value lies in how it integrates into Russia's multi-domain doctrine, working alongside drones, jamming platforms, and long-range missiles. However, if the Su-57's stealth is compromised, its ability to penetrate NATO airspace, disrupt command nodes, or eliminate critical radar assets becomes far more risky. This forces planners to rethink the risk calculus. Stealth aircraft were once seen as the tip of the spear, but now, with detection more likely, that spear must be supported by cyber attacks, electronic warfare, and decoys to succeed. In a real conflict, expect stealth jets to be used selectively, not constantly. NATO, in turn, must adapt its offensive strategy. While it enjoys stealth superiority with platforms like the F-35 and F-22, it must assume its aircraft can and will be detected, especially over highly contested environments. This drives the push for faster engagement timelines, more autonomous weapons, and greater reliance on AI-driven threat response. Ultimately, what the Su-57 experience shows is this: we are entering an age where stealth and counter-stealth are locked in a technological arms race, and radar is far from obsolete. The skies are more dangerous, more complex, and more crowded than ever. In this environment, victory won't go to the side with the lowest radar cross-section, but to the side that can best integrate its sensors, interpret its data, and act the fastest. So while the Su-57 is a symbol of Russia's ambitions in the air, its limited stealth effectiveness when viewed against NATO's evolving radar systems reveals a broader truth. In modern warfare, no platform fights alone. Success comes not from a single fighter's invisibility, but from how well entire systems work together to see, decide, and strike. The myth of the Su-57's invisibility has been thoroughly debunked. While Russia's fifth-generation fighter boasts advanced design and capabilities, it is not the radar-evading ghost many imagined. Modern radar systems, combined with space-based sensors and electronic warfare tools, have significantly narrowed the advantage stealth once held. NATO's ability to detect, track, and analyze the Su-57 during real-world operations highlights the evolving balance of power in aerial warfare. But this is far from the end of the story. As technology advances on both sides with new radar innovations and stealth adaptations, the ongoing cat-and-mouse game between detection and evasion will shape the future of air combat. Understanding these dynamics is crucial, not just for military planners, but for anyone following global security trends. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Su-57 and NATO's radar capabilities. Stay informed, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next video.